Angel Reese made some waves yesterday. We're going to hear from her in a little bit. But where we stand right now on this Caitlin Clark and her treatment in the NBA and what Angel Reese feels her role is, what is your overall view from your 7-foot stance? What do you see that maybe nobody else sees when we're talking about Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and the new WNBA?
Well, what I'm seeing is the fact that none of this has anything to do with basketball. And that's the key component to all of this, because if it had to do with basketball, we wouldn't be doing this. And so to me, it has to do with gender, it has to do with race, it has to do with sexual preference, it has to do with all these other things, and it has to do also with agendas. You know, who has agendas and who's willing to, talk about this? Because, again, it has nothing to do with basketball. Plays are going to happen, like Chennedy Carter hitting her. That stuff happens all the time, men's side, women's side. In the women's game, to me, they're a lot more physical than on the men's side now. And it's been that way for years. 1996, WNBA started. I was color commentary. I did the inaugural season for the Sacramento Monarchs. They were fighting back then. They had a young lady named Latasha Byers, and she was like the Dennis Rodman or the Draymond Green of the Monarchs, and just fouling people and everything else. So I say that to say this. Again, none of this has anything to do with basketball at all, because fouls happen in sports, in basketball, and welcoming committees have been formed over the years to welcome rookies.
But I tried to compare it to the Detroit Pistons, but couldn't make that comparison because the Pistons were one team trying to carve out their own identity. This feels like it's an entire league. And when we're talking about a league, I'm also including her teammates on the Indiana Fever. Like, it feels like it's Caitlin Clark against everybody else. So I just don't think that this is the normal, hey, these are the lumps you got to take as a rookie. I know Angel Reese, had to deal with hard fouls and talked about it. But then in her post-game comments after that, she completely threw shade at Caitlin Clark in terms of how you're supposed to react to those sort of fouls. So it just feels like everybody's against Caitlin Clark.
You're absolutely right. And I'm going to use LeBron James, as the one barometer right now, because I can go with Michael Jordan, I can go with Magic, I can go with Bird, I can go with so many players. Let's use LeBron James. So when LeBron James signs his shoe deal, before he plays a game, he's making, $60 million, $80 million, whatever the numbers were. Players in the NBA were upset. Man, he's never even touched a Spalding, and he's getting all this money. And I'm sitting there going, why are you counting that man's money? Why are you worried about him? So the jealousy was already there. And I'm like, I don't care one way or another. So let's fast forward to Caitlin Clark. She hadn't touched a basketball, and it's like she's going to be the number one player pick. Of course she is, because she moves the needle. This is the generation we're in. Everybody was talking about Caitlin Clark at Iowa. And so to me, she was already popular. So when she gets to the WNBA, her teammates now upset because the jealousy's there. Oh, why is she getting all this notoriety? How come she's the only one they're talking about? All the other players who thought they should have been getting it. The Tarazis, the Sue Birds, the Breonna Stewarts, whoever they are, whether they said something or not, they're thinking, well, how come I didn't get this? So to me, that's where it's stemming from. It's a lot of jealousy, and it's unfounded because ladies, y'all got private planes now. Y'all got charters.
That's what I was going to say, was when LeBron came into the league, the NBA had sold out arenas. They weren't playing at different venues and then needed to go to bigger venues when LeBron came. Everything was status quo, and LeBron moves into this league. The WNBA is actually seeing improvements because she's in the NBA, WNBA. The W is the real insiders like to call it. Yeah. We're going to call it the WNBA. But the fact is things have already gotten better in the month that she's been in the league, and these people have a problem with it. And I think that's a pretty big problem.
That's a problem within itself, and no one's talking about that. Pat McAfee yesterday calling her a white bitch. And my question to Pat McAfee is, What did Caitlin Clark do to you specifically to make that statement?
She's appeared on his show. He went to her game this past weekend and was there cheering on her. I think he was trying to make a point. I think he was, and I don't know what the point was, or trying to make a statement or try to be polarizing or get that attention. It worked in getting the attention, not in the way that I think that he thought that it was going to play out, because I don't think anybody was there giving him a thumbs up on that sort of thing. So I don't think that there's animosity between those two, because he seemed to have supported her, but he was definitely not on the sides of the Chennedy Carters, of the Angel Reeses of the world. Angel Reese, about, 22 hours ago, made some comments. It was right after the Doug Gottlieb show. So it's going to be the first time that this show has heard these comments. This was Angel Reese talking yesterday just about her role in women's basketball. And to me, it sounds a little bit different than what we heard from Angel Reese just a couple of months ago, which we'll get to. But this was Angel Reese yesterday.
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that, because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too, and I want y'all to realize that.
So Caitlin Clark is taking a victory lap with the support of one of her teammates. I think it was Chennedy Carter who was next to her, taking the victory lap because she feels that she also brought about these changes that you're seeing now in the WNBA.
Well, she has every right to think that. And I applaud her for having that kind of confidence. But no. It has nothing to do with you, Angel. You were a part of something, yes, but the common denominator was Angel Reese. The 3 games that you guys played, okay.
Caitlin Clark. The common denominator was Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark was the common denominator in the 3 games in the NCAA tournament, okay? And you only played one of them, Angel Reese. She followed up the other 2 leading up to the championship. The numbers of viewers just kept going up each game. And so to me, she's the common denominator. She's the lightning rod. She's the one that's bringing these people. You just happen to be an ancillary part of it. Great player, love your attitude, love what you do. But no, it's not about you, Angel. It's about Caitlin Clark right now.
Yeah, and I think that you have the data on the TV ratings to prove that. I think that all of us who just have the memory remember the Final Four of the year prior, and the real arrival of Caitlin Clark was the win over the undefeated South Carolina team in the national semifinals. That was the one that really, really captivated the country, and then it carried over to that LSU game, and it's revisionist history by Angel Reese, because I would say, Olden, the reason that Angel Reese became a part of the story was because of her taunting of Caitlin Clark with the pointing to her finger with the ring, doing the "you can't see me," which Caitlin Clark did a couple of games prior, apparently not even to another player, but to a different coach, and then continued to taunt Caitlin Clark at the end of that game. There was nothing that went on in the 40 minutes, aside from maybe the final minute of the taunting, where it was truly Angel Reese against Caitlin Clark. But that's how Angel Reese became a part of this conversation.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But again, see, my thing is this. You're right. So the games that they played, she made statements, Caitlin Clark became a national name. She became a personality because of her style. It wasn't about her anything else. Again, I say this is about race and everything else. So, we're seeing a white chick, knocking down 3-pointers kind of like Steph Curry. Now everybody's like, I need to watch this person. I need to see this, because you got to remember, the NCAA tournament started the NCAA itself started in 1982. We've never had this. We've never had somebody that just shoots whenever she wants. Maya Moore, Cheryl Miller, Lisa Leslie, great players over the years. We've never had that. And so to me, Caitlin Clark is critical in all of this, okay? And people need to understand it. The jealousy is going to be there. When they beat South Carolina, Aaliyah Boston plays for who?
South Carolina.
And so where is she now?
The Indiana Fever.
Indiana Fever. You don't think she still holds some animosity?
100%.
And so to me, Asia Wilson, South Carolina. So my thing is that I'll use this story right quick. I played with the Detroit Pistons and everyone's favorite, Bill Laimbeer. I was the guy that broke his nose when he started wearing the mask because he gave me a Chennedy Carter hit.
Sure.
From behind. And I came back, popped him with my shoulder, broke his nose. We became teammates. I didn't like him. I respected his game, but I didn't like him. But if somebody had gone after Bill Laimbeer in a game, I would have went after that somebody. Because in that moment, he was my teammate above anything else. And so, ladies, we need to grow up a little bit.
And it's a great point because Aaliyah Boston, when Caitlin Clark is hitting the floor on the Chennedy Carter hit, is taking the inbound. And it wasn't like she ignored it, but she just felt like it was such a task that,
exactly.
now this again. Now I got to deal with this.
Yeah. Do I really need to go and help you up?
It was such a problem. And the Angel Reese, and I find it interesting on how not only does Angel Reese attach herself to the greatness of women's basketball and make it about herself. This was a girl who was away from the team of LSU for 4 games that they had this past season.
Mm-hmm.
The reason given was mental health to get her mind right. And then when they lose to Iowa in the Elite 8 game, when Caitlin Clark can have the last laugh, Angel Reese goes and plays the victim. And this was Angel Reese after that loss just a couple of months ago in the NCAA tournament.
I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized. I've been threatened. I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time. And I just try to stand strong for my teammates because I don't want them to see me down and, not be there for them. So I just want them to always just know, I'm still human. All this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything, and I would still sit here and say, I'm unapologetically me. I'm going to always leave that mark and be who I am and stand on that. And hopefully the little girls that look up to me, and hopefully I give them some type of inspiration that keep being who you are, keep waking up every day, keep being motivated, staying who you are, staying 10 toes, don't back down, and just be confident.
Everything that she said there, Olden, I felt was now negated by what we've heard over the last week or so.
Of course it is, because everything's in the moment. And, what do I need right now for my narrative? And so to me, that's what I go by. Whether it's the media, whether it's Angel, whether it's Caitlin Clark, whoever it is, I think everybody is using this for their own benefit. And that's what I have a problem with because, 1 minute, it's like, what we always say, it's all fun till the rabbit gets the gun, because it's like, hey, it's all fun and games. And so it's like, hey, you got to take the good with the bad. And you can't sit there and start crying, oh, woe is me, I'm the victim now. But earlier, when you were winning, you clapping in people's faces. So it's like, this is absurd to me.
It is. It truly is. He's Olden Polynice. I'm Dan Beyer. I don't know how we're going to move on from this, but I'll tell you what, for all of the new fans that the WNBA has had, and viewership numbers are higher than they've been in a long, long time, since probably you were calling games at the advent of the league. They were around 2.5 million viewers watching games, and now you're getting a little lower numbers than that when Caitlin Clark's playing. But the point is if this continues to happen, those players are going to go away, or those watchers and viewers are going to go away. They don't want to see Caitlin Clark on the ground. They don't want to see this sort of atmosphere. So when we say, hey, this is great for the WNBA, I think it's now gotten up to that limit. This is the line, and it can go one way or another. And if it continues to go the way that it's been going, you're going to lose all of the momentum and all of the new viewers that you had at the sake of proving a point.
Well, the NBA was smart enough to incorporate the Jordan rules, to protect the brand.
Sure.
Caitlin Clark is the brand. Whether you want to admit it or not, right now, Caitlin Clark is the brand of the WNBA. And you need to protect. I'm not saying she's got to get favorable calls. I'm not saying any of that. But you still have to put something in place where people, and it's so funny to me because it's not just, opponents. It's her team.
Yes.
And it's the league itself, which is weird to me. I'm like, wait a minute. You finally are getting what you needed. Eyes, viewership, fans, and you don't want to protect that? Wow, y'all are tripping.